Welcome to Tech Latest, where we bring you the freshest updates from Asia's tech industry. On each episode, some of Nikkei Asia's reporters will be filling us in on the latest tech stories on their radar. From our Tokyo headquarters, here's this week's installment.
Hello, everyone. This week, I'm joined by two special guests, Cissy Zhou, our senior business news correspondent who's based in Hong Kong, and Katey Creel, who is our Nikkei Asia tech editor. Thank you both so much for joining today.
Hi, Alice. Thanks. It's great to be with you.
Hi, Katie. Hi, Alice. Great to be back again.
Thank you. It's such a treat to have you both here. And this week, I really want to dive into a really illuminating story that you recently wrote, Cissy, about a key shift that's happening in the Chinese e-commerce market. Now, Katey, I know that you work closely with Cissy on this piece, so I'd be really interested to hear your take on this too. First of all, though, Cissy, can you just explain a bit about what this new trend is? And when did it first come to your attention? Where did this story originally start from?
Yes. So the trend is e-commerce platforms are no longer solely focusing on low prices, but instead they are prioritizing total sales growth. I think the main reason is that they have realized that not everyone can be Pinduoduo because that platform has a reputation for cheap items. Although the platform has been trying to offer more quality stuff over these years, but the mindset of buyers in China is that whenever you want to buy something cheap and you don't have high expectations for the quality, you just go to that platform. And because China's economy has been slowing down, as we all know, and some consumers become more price conscious, and sales on Pinduoduo has been robust in the past few years, and it has also lured buyers from other platforms. As a result, we have seen that platforms, including Taobao, JD.com, and Douyin, they were scrambling to get the market share back by competing with Pinduoduo with low prices too. And that made me wonder from early this year, how sustainable this all-in low price strategy is gonna be, because you need to keep pumping money into subsidies, right? Also, not everyone is so neat on low prices. And if every platform is after the lowest prices, that means the market might be flooded with inferior goods, as manufacturers have to find ways to keep the costs lower, and which some buyers don't want to see. So platforms such as Taobao and Douyin, they are prioritizing total sales, particularly by offering good services, which is a combination of price and quality. Because after all those efforts in offering low price items, the total sales growth, particularly Douyin's, is much slower than expected, my sources told me. And that means low price is just not the right strategy for the platform, right? So also very interestingly, after my report was published, Chinese media reported that Pinduoduo is actually prioritizing total sales growth too, and they're no longer solely focusing on low price.
Thanks, Cissy. I wanted to say I found this story super fascinating when you first pitched it, and I was really interested to see how the price war plays out, because as you said, it's just not a sustainable model for everyone to be chasing the lowest price possible. But there is another factor you mentioned, and that's the regulations that are coming in. There's some new regulations set to hit China's internet industry next month, right? How might those be impacting the dynamics of the e-commerce sector?
You are completely right about the new regulation. And I actually personally think that the new regulation is also part of the reasons for the strategic shift in the sector. And as I mentioned in the story, from September 1st, a new regulation will take effect in China, and the regulations prevents platforms from imposing unreasonable restrictions on the price of goods. Also, very interestingly, is that the Politburo meeting yesterday also emphasized that Beijing should prevent companies from vicious competitions in different sectors. In China, the price war is actually not only in the e-commerce sector, but also in sectors such as EV, battery, etc. This price war has triggered a lot of complaints from manufacturers because The price war leaves the manufacturers no space for profit, and every company is trying to look for overseas opportunities because the margins overseas is much higher.
That's really fascinating how it's not just limited to the e-commerce sector, but it is definitely the canary in the coal mine for a lot of China's industry and markets. I have one more question. We know what the companies themselves, Alibaba, Pinduoduo, are probably feeling about this shift. But what about the sellers who use their platforms? How is this affecting them?
Yeah, according to my conversations with several sellers, I think this move is actually greatly welcomed by the sellers. For example, one seller told me that she runs shops on Pinduoduo and Taobao both. Pinduoduo would consistently ask her to lower the prices. She initially set her profit between 20% to 30%. But the profit will be under 10% if she follows Pinduoduo's request to keep lowering the prices. And she told me that there's no way for her to lower the prices to this low because she needs to purchase goods from other factories too. And if the factories cannot lower the prices on their end, and she cannot do it either. But if she doesn't follow the price cut request, she would have no traffic to her store, because it will not appear in the search results.
That's really interesting, Cissy. And I'm so glad that you were on the topic from a really almost the beginning. And it's going to be great to see how this plays out in the next few months, especially once the new regulations come into effect. If it does, in fact, make the market a bit more sustainable, or if there's going to be maybe some unintended side effects. So I'm looking forward to your continuing coverage.
Yeah, I think the sector, including the e-commerce, might become healthier after the regulation, because that would mean a lot of factories, they can manufacture goods with good qualities, and they don't have to always find ways to cut the costs. Although the Chinese economy is slowing down, they are always different consumers, and then they have different needs. Not everyone is so neat on low price items. Someone are always looking for goods with better qualities.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cissy, for giving us that rundown. And we always love your Chinese e-commerce episodes, and we'll be looking forward to your future coverage of this topic, as Katey said. Now, Katey, just because you're here and you do oversee Nikkei Asia's tech coverage, before we end today, I just wanted to come to you and get your insights on what tech trends or stories we should have our eye on in Asia over the next week. Apart from, obviously, Cissy's coverage of Chinese e-commerce, what's been piquing your interest lately?
Thanks, Alice. There's actually so many hot tech topics. It's almost hard to know where to start. But one of my favorite is obviously the ongoing chip war. The U.S. tensions, Washington's crackdown on semiconductor tools and exports, the AI boom driving demand, the shifting supply chains across Asia. That all means the chip industry has never been more exciting. I think one of the biggest questions that a lot of people have in the months and years ahead is actually about Japan and whether the country can seize this moment and really get back into the chip making game after a couple decades of basically being on the sidelines. So it's betting heavily on its own chip startup Rapidus. It's attracting investment from TSMC. And I think this is a really, really interesting time to see how Japan seizes the moment. Another priority for us at Nikkei Asia is definitely EVs, from the buyers to the sellers to the raw materials that go into the batteries. Our reporters across Asia and Australia are all over this topic. One of my favorite stories recently is out of Thailand, where BYD is giving new buyers deeper discounts. And from a sales point of view, it makes sense to encourage drivers to maybe give up their gas-powered cars, but it's also angering the current owners who thought their cars were going to be worth more. So a very interesting look at market dynamics there. And we're also looking at Australia's attempts to be more competitive in nickel and lithium. There's just so many challenges that they're trying to overcome. And I think our coverage of this is just going to get deeper and more interesting. So please stay tuned to that. Of course, we can't ignore the US election and what a potential Trump return to the White House would mean for Asia tech and trade. Things there have been upended with the potential new Democratic candidate in Kamala Harris. So the next few months are definitely going to be interesting for Asia business and Asia tech.
For sure. Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot to look forward to from Nikkei Asia's coverage across tech and across the whole region for the next few months. Thank you so much, Katey, for that brilliant summary. And thank you for Cissy for coming back on. And we hope to hear you again soon.
Thank you very much, Alice. It was great to be with you.
Thank you, Alice.
Thanks for listening. For more stories on Asia's tech industry, check out the Nikkei Asia website at asia.nikkei.com. You can also sign up to our weekly Tech Asia newsletter, which will be delivered to your inbox every Thursday. There's a link to sign up in the show notes. We also have a big announcement today. The Tech Latest podcast will be taking a short break and will revamp next month. We are excited to deliver the hottest tech stories out of Asia, so please stay tuned until then.